Alright guys, so this is the first technique that I use to edit eyes. So I've already done like a retouch on the skin. We're now going to focus on the eyes. Her eyes are naturally light already, so we're just going to highlight them and make them stand out even more. So first thing I do is I go to layer, new, and then layer. Then what I do there is change the name to highs. That's short for highlights. Then we're going to make the mode soft light. Then we're going to tick this button here, fill with soft light, neutral color, 50% gray. So tick that, click OK. Then we're going to get our brush tool, make the foreground color white. So you can press X for that. And we're going to make our flow at 1%. So with a soft brush, we're just going to paint over both eyes. Just like that. What I also do is I then change the foreground color to black, and then I paint over the edges of her eyes. So I make the brush a little bit smaller, and see the black around her eyes. I'm going to paint that with black as our color. Second eye. Just gives it a bit more definition and detail. Alright, so let's do before and after. Before and after, it's brightened it up a bit. Alright, so that's the first step I do. Then I get a curves adjustment layer. I'm going to change the blend mode to luminosity. Then we're going to raise it up here. And then let's do that there again. Then at the bottom of this curves adjustment layer, we're going to drag that down. So it just looks really weird now. But what we're going to do now is we're going to invert that layer. So Command and I, it inverts the layer. We're then going to take the brush again and we're going to increase our flow back to 100%. Making sure our foreground color is white. And then we're literally just going to paint over both eyes. That's really giving it a lot of definition. So that just looks way out of the blue. So it looks nice actually, but in terms of the rest of the image, it doesn't match it. So what we can do is we're going to raise this point up here slowly, just until it looks. If we went all the way up, you can see, whoa. So just there. So when you're editing your picture, you're going to have to judge it and see what's good for you and what works for you and what doesn't work for you. But for me there, it's a little bit bright, so I'm going to lower the opacity slowly. So I'm at about 34%. And for me, that really stands out. I really like it there. That's before, that's after. Then what I do next is I put all the layers together. So Command, Option, Shift and E. That brings all the layers together here. Then I go to Filter, High Pass. A high pass filter. Now I'm going to put it at 3. No, let's increase that. I'm going to put it to like 4%. Or 4 pixels rather. Okay. I'm going to change that blend mode to soft light. And what this does, it sharpens the whole image. But we only want the eye sharpened at this point. So we're going to hold Alt or Option and press the layer mask here. And that's just taking the sharpness away from everything. And we're going to paint that back on. So again, 100% flow, brush, white as our foreground color. And we literally just paint on the eyes. And that's just sharpened our eyes. So you can see how the eyes are really standing out there. What I'm then gonna do is I'm gonna put this all in a group so you guys can see the before and after. Change that to eyes. So that's the after, before, after. So it's really sharpened up the image. I would usually do the sharpening at the end so it will blend with the rest of the image. But as you can see, the eyes are popping. What I'm then gonna do is I'm gonna edit the rest of the image so everything's popping like that. But that's how I edit my eyes. That's eyes number 1. So eyes number 2 now. I'm gonna delete that. And this one's a little bit more complicated. So what the first thing is, I'm gonna get a new layer there. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a new layer, and then all right. So option number 2. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new layer there. I'm gonna get my brush. So already on brush, but brush tool. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the color of her eyes to make them pop. So if you hold the option button and then you click on her eyes somewhere, what it does, the color picker comes out and then it gives you the color of her eyes. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into my colors and I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna make it a bit more greener. Yeah, about there. Yeah. Then I'm gonna make the brush a little bit smaller. Then I'm gonna paint that green on her eyes, just like that. Just like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make this layer a smart object. I should have probably done that before. So the reason why I'm doing that is we can then go back and edit it if we don't like what we've done with it. It'll make sense in a second. So eyes are painted. It's a smart object. Then we're going to go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then we're going to blur out what we just done. So I'm going to go at, no, it's way too much. I'm going to blur it at about 16.2 pixels. So our eyes are super green there. Don't worry too much. What we're going to do is we're going to lower that opacity. Let's take it a bit higher. So I'm going to probably put it at 60%. That's before, that's after. So our eyes are kind of popping already. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a curves adjustment layer. And we're just going to brighten up everything. There you go. Then we're going to invert that. So Command and I. And we're going to zoom right in. We're going to go back to our brush tool. We're going to make a really small brush here. And then we're going to create a few lines on our eyes. So I'm going to zoom right in so you can see it. So there's my brush tool. And I'm just going to, if you notice on our eyes, you can see white lines. We're just going to increase those lines with the curves. So you just follow the eyes around. And it just adds a bit of dimension to it. So if I zoom out, and let's go to the second eye. Same sort of thing. Just follow the eyes around. Sometimes you can make them longer like that, which I think will work better for this. Zoom out. You can see her eyes look different. They look maybe a little bit too much at the moment. So again, we can lower that opacity. So I'm at 68% there. Let's do it before and after. So it just immediately lightens them up. So that's before and that's after. All right, same rules apply as with the first set of eye edits. We're going to put all those layers together. So Command, Option, Shift, and E. That puts them all together. We're going to put a high pass filter on that. So it's Filter, Other, High Pass. And we'll keep it at 4%. Click OK. Change that to Soft Light. Then again, we're going to invert it. So it's Option. Go to the whole image is inverted. Then we can paint back on the eyes, the sharpness. So let's do it before and after. So I'm going to put all those layers in a group. Eyes, let me spell it correctly this time. So that's before and that's after. So immediately the eyes, just like the picture, that's before, that's after. So when I look at the picture now, the first thing I see are her eyes. I'm literally drawn to them. All right. Leave some comments and some questions in the comments, and then I'll get back to y'all.